Developing tonight, the Ballot Seattle shooting and the resignation of Police Chief Sean Barnes are factors in a brand new recall effort against Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson.
Seattle Police Chief Sean Barnes is out, released from his position by Mayor Katie Wilson after Sunday's shooting at the Bite of Seattle.
King County elections documents show the pair behind the push for a recall took issue with the removal of Chief Sean Barnes in the middle of the Bite of Seattle shooting investigation, the handling of CCTV cameras, as well as unaddressed crime in the North Aurora neighborhood and Chinatown International District.
Mayor Wilson denied that played any role in the delay, but now a source tells Fox 13 that SPD leadership was ready to go hours earlier until the mayor's office stepped in and stopped them.
A source at the Seattle Police Department told Fox 13 officers wanted to hold a media briefing Sunday night to update the public, but Mayor Katie Wilson's office asked them to wait for dignitaries to arrive.
Earlier this week, I should not have defended the fact that the city did not use Alert Seattle. Through our review, I have learned that there was a miscommunication between departments that resulted in no alert going out when it would have been a good tool to use. I also want to name that there was miscommunication between SPD and my office.
But Wilson has said she fears the cameras could be hacked by ICE or the Trump administration to target people seeking abortions. Kettle says there is zero evidence to support those fears.
You think that this petition can go through and actually remove her from office?
I hope that the district prosecutor attorney that looks at it will understand. It's very, in my opinion, well laid out. It's time to admit that you're not right for the job. Resign quietly and let somebody else that knows how a city should run do the work. She's making us a laughingstock around the country.
Title of the article for this podcast is Not Right for the Job. Seattle couple seeks to recall Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson. All right, here we go. And so it begins. Not right for the job. Seattle couple seeks to recall Mayor Katie Wilson. And on what grounds? It's interesting. They chose public safety. And they chose to identify a number of areas of Seattle and then a number of circumstances. What's this look like? What are the odds of getting this done? Let's get into it. Here we go. Right off the bat, I don't think this recall is going anywhere. I don't think the charges, and this is basically just paperwork that gets this process going, and paperwork's got to be reviewed. The charges, it's a recall charge. I don't think there's enough on this recall charge. Yes, Katie Wilson has not done a great job. Yes, she's been a train wreck since she's been in office. But you have to meet a certain level of standard where you're going to get tossed, where you're going to have the paperwork go through to the point where it gets on a ballot and people are actually able to vote. And we've got to have 70,000 signatures petitioning to have Katie Wilson recalled. I don't think any of that happens. I don't think she has met the level of dereliction to the point where governmental entities going to go, basically the Supreme Court's going to go, state Supreme Court's going to go, yep, this makes sense. Has she done a bad job? Yeah, I think she's done a terrible job. But we knew this going into it, right? We knew this going into it. Zero experience. She's a socialist. What could go wrong? Let's read the story. North Seattle couple has filed paperwork to seek a recall collection against Mayor Katie Wilson, alleging the mayor is failing in her duty to protect the people of the city. My first thought was that they did consult with an attorney, and it's been confirmed they did consult with an attorney, and they go kind of bullet point by bullet point, which are not bad. But I don't think what Katie Wilson has done in these specific incidences regarding Seattle public safety is enough to warrant a recall at this point. Given it enough time? Maybe. Melinda Jacobson filed a document known as a recall charge at the King County elections on Tuesday. Charges will have to be reviewed by prosecutors and then approved by a judge before any potential recall election. I did this little survey here. What do you think should happen to Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson? And my immediate thought was she should resign. I've been talking with multiple people. I don't think Katie Wilson makes it beyond 2 years. I think she resigns inside of 2 years. Seattle's got the potential for multiple crazy shenanigans to happen, for lack of a better word. Know you guys like that one? But I think, you get a couple more shenanigans into the system in Seattle, and Katie Wilson doesn't have the experience to basically handle those, said shenanigans. And if something goes the wrong way, she's just inexperienced. And the people of Seattle elected her based upon her ability to make Seattle more affordable and a bunch of other nonsense, more buses, stuff we don't really care about. But, people in Seattle say they do until, oh no, Katie Wilson's doing a bad job. We gotta 69 her, get her out of here. She is making us a laughingstock around the country, Jacobson told Como News. It's time to admit that you are not right for the job. Resign quietly and let somebody else who knows how a city is run do the work. I said initially, we're really going to regret not re-electing Bruce Harrell. We're really going to, and yes, that has come to fruition. It's wildly come to fruition, unfortunately. Charges against Wilson of failing to adequately address public safety concerns in several Seattle neighborhoods and criticize her handling of police leadership. All right. But you can criticize somebody's handling of police leadership, and that's not enough of a violation to say, you got to go. Right? I mean, that's kind of a judgment call. It's got to meet a certain standard, and none of these do, I don't think. And the city's surveillance camera system. It's not just me who's fed up, Jacobson said. True. It's a number of citizens. It's the city council. It's nothing personal against her. She's just not right for the position. Agreed. I agree with everything she says. I agree with her angles. But it ain't going to do it. And I think everybody agrees. But this is one of those first steps. All right. And we get it going. And maybe there's something else that pops up down the road. Take that angle. I mean, that's kind of how these things go, right? Super hard to get a recall. Remember Shama Sawant had a recall? And she barely squeezed out of that one. She had like 300 votes on her side. That's how close it was. And she was terrible. She was awful. Katie Wilson is a saint in comparison to Shama Sawant, honestly. Filing is not a recall petition, according to King County Elections Communications Manager Haley Watkins. Filing recall charges is an initial step in a process that requires multiple levels of review before proponents can collect signatures. Charges are now undergoing a technical review by the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. If the filing meets technical requirements, which it will not, prosecutors will prepare a ballot synopsis and submit the matter to the King County Superior Court. The judge would then determine whether the charges meet the legal standard for misfeasance, malfeasance, or a violation of the oath of office. You could try and tie that together, and that's what this couple has done. It's a married couple with different last names. Only if the charges clear those steps would proponents be allowed to circulate petitions. If approved for signature gathering, proponents would have 180 days to collect 70,000 required signatures. Those signatures would be submitted to King County Elections for verification. If enough eligible signatures are verified, officials will reschedule a recall election, preferably in conjunction with an already scheduled election if one falls within the legally required timeline. Here's the 5 areas. One charge is the handling of Seattle Police Chief Sean Barnes. All right, yep, that was a mess. She fired Sean Barnes, and it probably wasn't warranted. Crime has been going down in the city of Seattle. I think Sean Barnes was doing a decent job, but somebody had to be the fall guy. So Katie Wilson said, you, Mr. Police Chief. And he had enough going on, like he spent 40% of his time in, his first XYZ months in office. He was gone. His family's back in Chicago. Not making excuses. I think it's totally wrong to have a police chief who doesn't actually live in the city full time. I just do. I think you lose so much by having somebody Friday afternoon, gotta go. Come back, just on the red eye, coming back on Sunday night. The filing alleges Wilson made a hasty, rash decision to seek Barnes' resignation and argues the decision created instability within the police department. It probably did. Is that enough to get her recalled? No. And I'm not an attorney. I'm just giving you my opinion. But I think these are pretty easy opinions to throw out there. Another charge, so that's one. Another charge focuses on the conditions in the North Aurora neighborhood. Well, okay, but you've had conditions in the North Aurora neighborhood for decades. Decades. It's been terrible up there for decades. It's infamous for being Pimpville. You got hoes walking the streets. You've got Johns running around. You've got pimps with guns running around shooting each other. We've shown the Maserati pimp, time and time again. Then you've got residents, and we've covered this one, where they basically blocked off with planters access to the road so the pimps wouldn't come down and shoot, or the Johns wouldn't drive down the side streets and do their thing with the young ladies who are being humanly trafficked and move back on. It's just, the whole thing's a mess. But that isn't 100% something you can stick on Katie Wilson. It's been going on for decades. So you got gun violence, prostitution, sex trafficking, and other public safety concerns. Okay, but that Katie Wilson inherited that issue, and it's terrible and understood. And she hasn't done a lot because she doesn't know how to lead. She doesn't know how to come up with an answer. And short of dropping the absolute hammer on the pimps up there, which Seattle isn't going to do because we love crime. Otherwise, we'd figure out a solution to fix it, which is effectively enforcing the law and then prosecuting and then incarcerating. Republican states do it. It can be done. It can be done. I think it was Texas, Oklahoma, and somebody else are all going to fry somebody today. It's going to happen. Filing criticizes decisions involving barriers. We talked about that. Also alleges Wilson failed to adequately address open-air drug use, crime, and public safety concerns in the Chinatown International District. Actually, she's got and it sounds like I'm defending Katie Wilson here. I'm not. But this is news for reasonable people. And reasonable sometimes means you got to look at things in light of what they actually are, not, oh my God, we're going to get her out of here. She's gone. She's gone. She's gone. Well, unfortunately, what we got in front of us ain't going to do it. It's just not happening. So Katie Wilson has addressed open air drug use, but it's so bad. And we're talking the International District. We're specifically talking 12th and Jackson. It's so bad there that it's going to take a concerted effort for months to make that better. And the bottom line is Seattle is okay with this, again, because where else are you going to have the drug addicts buy their drugs? You've created a situation where you got all this housing throughout Seattle, and none of it's predicated upon people being sober. So you got all these drug dealers and drug addicts living in tiny homes. They got to have places where there's open air markets. And unfortunately, 12th and Jackson is it, because it's in the International District, and the Asian community will not push back. They're too docile. They're too respectful, which goes against them in this case. And proponents point to recent shootings and stabbings. Remember when Jeremy Harris covered like 10 people getting stabbed within, a day? Just, you got some whacked out drug addict running around stabbing people with a kitchen knife. Okay. But, Katie Wilson's done an emphasis patrol with police there. So she's kind of pulled the trigger that other mayors have done similarly, but things have gotten worse. Does that constitute enough for a recall? I mean, you put them all together. All right. No, I don't think so. Fourth charge, Belltown and Third Avenue, Pike and Pine and Third, Seattle's Blade. That has been terrible since the 70s. Horrible. I mean, you start looking at the history. Oh, yeah, he got shot. They got shot. There was a brawl. There was a stabbing. Somebody got robbed. There was McDonald's is going to, basically hand out through the slot like prison food only. But that's not going to be enough to recall her, complaining about that. Filers contend the neighborhood, Pike and Pine and Third, the Blade, has deteriorated since January and cite open drug use, drug dealing, and other criminal activity. I do agree. I agree 100% that I think these areas have gotten worse since Katie Wilson has been in office. But, you know, the powers that be are going to look at this and go, all right, but what specifically has she done to make it worse? Some could say, well, she hasn't done enough to make it better. That's not enough to recall her. The fifth charge involves the city's use of surveillance cameras. Proponents allege Wilson has not activated cameras installed in areas including North Aurora, Pimpville, the China International District, South 12th and Jackson, and Third Avenue, despite what they describe as continuing crime problems. The filing says some of the cameras were financed in part through a federal grant and contends residents and businesses have repeatedly requested that they be activated. She's made the decision to not activate them. She made the decision to activate the cameras in the dome districts, the stadium districts during FIFA, and then turn them off. Didn't have, there's no cameras officially in the Seattle Center area where we just had the Bite of Seattle shooting. Is this enough for her? You combine all these, the cameras. What specifically with the cameras would be such a violation that she should be recalled? She's made bad judgment calls. And all of these things are not good. They're not the direction you want to go. But in order to get somebody recalled, a public official, it's got to be damn right, just wildly obvious. No. In order for it to pass the muster. Filing itself does not establish that any of these allegations are true. Superior Court review, if the charges first pass the technical review, will determine whether they are legally sufficient to proceed in the recall process. I think the attorney that advised these people put them on the right path, but I don't believe there is enough here to make it go. We just identify that she's an inexperienced individual. She's a socialist. She's taken the city in the wrong direction. The things that I find more egregious are her saying that she's going to boycott Starbucks, because that fundamentally impacts how Seattle operates. Now, Starbucks, just like, hey, go F yourself. We're going to Tennessee. And they literally did just that. That kind of thing. But it's her opinion to do that. Is that terrible as a mayor to say that one of the biggest companies and one of the founding companies that put Seattle on the map should be boycotted? Is that just terrible? Yes. Is it enough to recall her? No. Because she can, there is a thing called free speech, and she's doing it. And unfortunately, she's made some decisions that are just like, what? And then also saying to the millionaires, I think it's wildly overblown. The millionaires leaving, and for the ones that do, bye. There was a picture taken of a U-Haul. They were headed over the pass, Snoqualmie Pass, I think it was. And on the back of the U-Haul, they had there was two hands on either side of the sign, and in the middle was a finger, and it said, "Bye, Katie." I don't know if you saw that one, but that's pretty funny. Bye, Katie, because she literally said in an interview, "Bye" to the millionaires. That to me is more egregious than what has happened at Pike and Pine, 12th and Jackson, the International District, from an overall standpoint, because the areas that we're talking about have been bad forever. Kurt Cobain used to go up and shoot heroin on Aurora because it was known, and that's back in the 90s. And in the 80s, you knew you could always find a girl to satisfy whatever your needs are because they got 1 million hotels that rent by the hour. And now you just got pimps from all over the country coming there because Seattle's a hot zone for human trafficking. It just is. It's just, it's soft on crime. Don't have enough cops. It's an ideal environment for human trafficking. Wilson's staff responded to the charges in a statement on Wednesday. We're aware of the petition that's been filed. While it does not appear to have merit, our focus remains where it belongs, on making life safer and more affordable for the people of Seattle. Oh. How are you making it safer? How are you making it more affordable? You know what I mean? It's like, say one thing and then do it. But don't say one thing and Literally right now, Seattle City Council they outlawed junk fees on leases. It's the stupidest stuff. People who don't understand business, people who don't understand real estate, let's do this. Rent goes up 10%. Since taking office, we're delivering meaningful progress, expanding community crisis responder hours. All right? And yet you got a mass shooting at one of Seattle's most famous social events, the Bite of Seattle. Well, people go there to eat. And instead of eating, people were just streaming out of the Bite of Seattle because there was gunfire, mass gunfire. I think, what'd we count? 33 shots, something like that. That's what I counted. So expanding community crisis responder hours. Who cares? Who cares? Get some more cops up in there and we'll talk. Not going to happen. Launching universal school meals. Okay. You know what I mean? Just like, all right. Okay. Banning rental junk fees. That's stupid. Accelerate. The landlords are just going to take those, like, you know what I mean? Expanding transit. Oh, goody. The bus. Get on the bus, Gus. Investing in our libraries. Okay, so the homeless can go there and jerk off in the corner? Yeah, right. Taking on unfair pricing at grocery stores. I'm sorry. That work continues. And that's what I'm afraid of. None of this stuff matters. None of this stuff has any impact on real public safety. More cops, putting the cops out there, but this is a city that, defunds the police, that doesn't believe in policing. This city fundamentally believes in abolishing the existing legal system. That's what they believe in. Oh yeah, it's the greatest thing ever. Instead, we're going to expand transit to a downtown that nobody goes to. That's 40% vacant. Oh, spectacular. Investing in our libraries. Honestly, when's the last time you went to a library? Is that even a thing? I guess it is. Taking on unfair pricing at grocery stores. Okay. Wild stuff, right? Recall petition filed against Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson faces uphill battle. Petition lands amidst a lot of public pressure on Mayor Wilson. During the first 8 months of her administration, moves to remove the police chief and install but not turn on surveillance cameras, angered council members, black faith and community leaders, even some of her core supporters. This recall might not be a big threat. If Superior Court judge decides the petition go forward, recall supporters have 6 months to get 70,000 signatures. I think they can do that. I don't think they can. I don't think it goes that far, though. But the chance it gets that far is low. Hugh Spitzer, a UW law professor and state constitution expert, says he sees recalls across the state of Washington get blocked by courts regularly. Because you got to meet a certain level. You can't just, I don't like her. I don't like what she's doing. Doesn't count. Nobody cares. Right? People care, but the people that matter. All right, let's sit down. Let's look at the case. Okay. There isn't going to be one particular thing that pushes Katie Wilson over the top. She's handled things terribly. She's handled things badly. But is she in violation enough to say, yep, got to go? After reading the charges, Spicer said he did not see any evidence of Wilson breaking specific laws or codes. Petitioner appears to be alleging missteps by the mayor and not necessarily illegal or improper behavior, so she might have an uphill time with this one, 100%. Unfortunately, only 2 mayors ever been successfully recalled. Hiram Gill in 1911. What did Hiram do? And Frank Edwards in 1931. In the heart of the Great Depression, right? Wes Ullman faced a recall in 75, but defeated it by a wide margin. Take that, you You recall. Interestingly, Ullman and Edwards also faced recalls for dismissing public officials, fire chief and the city light head, respectively, and Gill faced a recall for allowing illegal activities like gambling. A little gambling's okay. I mean, the boys got to cut loose every now and then, right? Sit down, do some illegal gambling. Now we got reservations. Hey, let's go to the Res and let's go gamble there. Those I like going to the reservations for concerts because it's a small, typically intimate event. I am not a gambler. I am no good at gambling. Somebody gave me $1. Who was it? It was my buddy Mike. He gave me $1 and said, "Hey, we should go gamble this." And I was like, "No, I'm just gonna lose it. I don't have any fun doing that." So I'd rather go, buy something at a mini mart. That's just me. Recently is 2020. Recall petition against Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkan thrown out state Supreme Court before it could go to the voters. Shama Sawant, 2021, faced a recall election, barely survived it by just over 300 votes. Mayor Wilson did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Jacobson said she did consult a lawyer in writing the charges and felt they met the definition of misfeasance. Maybe this does, because I, again, am not a lawyer. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just know what I've read. I know, reading a million stories and me reading a million stories around the country. And by a million, I mean, hundreds, whatever. And seeing how difficult it is to recall a person in public office. It's brutal to do. So you really got to step over that line. And Katie Wilson has, she's done a lot of super questionable things because she doesn't have the experience to know to go down a right direction to make a scenario better. And she's also got a governor who is kind of pulling back on how information goes out. That's my opinion. I think she was told to fire the police chief with the whole Bite of Seattle thing. That's part of what's in here. But is that enough to get her, over the hump as far as the powers that be to say, yep, let's give this to the people. Let's let them, do signatures. Let's see if they can get 70,000 signatures and get her on her way of getting out of here. No, I don't. I honestly just don't think that happens. But maybe something will come up, and this is the beginning of that, right? It's kind of like the millionaire's tax here in the state of Washington. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen this fall. We're not going to vote it in. But it's that first launch, and, the proponents keep throwing it out there, and at some point in time, it'll stick. Same thing could happen with Mayor Wilson, because what's happening now could happen at a different situation where she does go over the line. We'll see. We'll see. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell, because I'll be covering this one 10 ways from Sunday, guaranteed. Thanks again for being here. Love to have you subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.